box video. Kind of back in action here. It's been a while. We're gonna try to give you a few more videos. Been super busy, A&A. Busy summer, just trying to play catch up all summer and not really getting anything caught up. This one is just jam packed with notes. I believe this is a bulk submission. I tried to look at tracking yesterday to figure it out, and it's one of two packages. I think the other package is still en route, and this one is a bulk foreign order. Now, I'm not an expert in foreign paper money. I know enough about it to make money, so we'll go through it. There you go. Stax Bowers right at the top. The current quarterly special is free return shipping. Free return shipping on submissions of 5 or more banknotes on select service levels. So what they mean by select service levels is up here at the top. They break it down. Basically, you have, bulk you have to have at least 50 notes for, so yes, that would make sense, but they're talking about econ and some of the other higher tiers. Got all of our paperwork here, and look at this. Lots of notes right on top. I'm going to do my best to describe what I know about these notes and what I think some of the current pricing trends. Now, with the auction houses being as busy as they are currently, and the market is just unbelievable for certain types of notes, some of these notes may be worth quite a bit more currently. So here it is, big stack of bulk. I seen the grades on this package already. I think I was maybe at the A&A when it posted, but it goes straight to my phone and lets me know, hey, you got grades, you should probably look at your notes. So the very first note on top is this. Let's see if I get my camera to focus on. Come on, Mr. Camera. This is the Tsingtao City Agricultural and Industrial Bank of China. This is a 1924 50 coppers overprint. This is a really good note. It's got a little bit of foxing on the back. However, PCGS graded it extremely fine 40. This might be one of the nicest examples that will ever go through auction. I know the catalog is extremely low on this note. I think the catalog might only go to VF, and VF might only be $500, but VF auction results are all well over $1,000. So this note is most likely going to sell for well over $1,000. I already received an auction estimate for this note, but I don't think it'll get that much traction, but I don't know, so we're just gonna leave it at that. It'll be in the mail today to go to major auction house. Here's an always popular note. This is a Banco de Tamaulipas, which is pre-revolutionary Mexico. This is a 5 pesos. I bought a nice deal of these from another dealer in Unk. Same thing, Banco de Tamaulipas, 65 PPQ, another great. These are just super easy notes to sell. Banco de Sonora, 67 PPQ, also another remainder from revolutionary, pre-revolutionary Mexico. The grade sets this one apart from all the others. You see the back of the note. They don't normally come in 67. So this note may have to go to auction as well, just because of the grade. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Another Banco de Sonora. It's a 50 peso, 64 EPQ. If you notice, 64 is pretty common. They normally have a really short right margin. Also, really nice back vignette. Here's even the 100, 64 PPQ. It's cool, it's got Spanish galleons on it. So far, what I've done with PCGS, I've been super happy with as far as grades. So, I know this note is roached. It's just a colonial Canadian note missing the top right corner. I found this note wadded up in the bottom of a box of stuff in another dealer's shop, and they were like, you can have that for a few bucks. I had to straighten it out quite a bit just to make it, you know, when I say wadded up, the note at one time you could barely see her portrait. It was literally just a fizzle at the bottom of a box. This note was in there also, this Bank of Clifton. You normally see this note in high grade. I believe the remainders. This isn't actually an issued note. So AG3, another note that was wadded up with that previous note. So Dominion of Canada, good 6. They're right in the log down the river. It's got a small hole in it. Here's another great note, Charter Bank, Hong Kong. Super easy note to sell. Lots of demand for this note. I bought this note over the counter actually, out of a box of just stuff. The guy was like, "Hey, here's some things. I think it's junk." And I pulled this one note out and I said, "Well, this is not junk. This is a great note." Canada, Dominion. I try to do more Canadian notes just because they're very similar to US notes. They have about the same amount of traction online and with collectors as US notes. They have really great eye appeal. They have super amazing vignettes. Some of the best lathe work ever found is on Canadian notes, especially early Canadian notes. They were all hand signed, so this is an engraved signature, but this one's hand signed. This is signed by hand. So they're very popular collectors. People really enjoy them. I get a lot of requests for Canadian. So here's another one. This one is fine 15. If I remember right, I bought these all in a big deal and they were just really cheap, and I said those will look good in plastic, and people like them. There's a ton of varieties on Canadian notes. I couldn't tell you a good variety from a bad variety. I know some of them have to do, like on the back of this note specifically, they call it one in or one out. You know, it's either this way or this way. So this one, they don't say specifically on the holder, but if you look up the DC number on these, so there's like DC 23 or DC 18A, it will, if you have a Carlton book, it will tell you exactly what you're looking for. Here's an XF40, just a nice, super nice original note. Great look. There's KGV, fine 12. And so far, I think everything's been super accurately graded. PCGS seems to be a touch reserved on cert grades. It's kind of more of a, based on a little bit more of an eye appeal. You would probably see this note in PMG Fine 15 pretty commonly. But really, I argue this with a lot of people, does split grades really matter? If this note was a little, you know, didn't have had a little less foxing on the edges, or a little less circulation dirt, or maybe somebody pressed this out and, you know, gave it a little bit nicer of appearance, does a 12 or a, you know, the difference between a 12 and a 15 doesn't, it's not really a thing. It's based on eye appeal at that point. This, to me, this note has such an original look, and it's never been touched, and I think collectability is probably just as great as a note that's been, you know, product smashed. Here's a great note. This note, yep, it's this note. This note was previously in a 62 net holder from PCGS Currency. So the net was minor edge staining. I don't know what they were talking about. I've looked at this note a bazillion times, and it's super nice note. I just, you know, people have bad days. Bank of Canada, 66 PPQ. I actually bought this note in Denver about a year ago. $1935 Canada $2 bill. I'm not, like I said, I'm not super familiar with the issues of Canadian notes, but now there's a run of these. So if you look, 702, 703, 704, 1954 $2 Canada, and they all graded choice 64, but then they comment light stain, and for the life of me, I don't see anything wrong. The bottom right corner has a little bit of like just a smidge of foxing on it, but that seems to be a bit drastic, because I mean, you have to stand on your head and look under the light to see that on all these notes. So that might be the only time I've ever disagreed. The paper on these comes with the kind of a tinge of yellow, and you really have to tip them to see just the smallest, you know. They came out of an old envelope, so it is what it is, I guess. Here's some Czechoslovakian 20 kran. I don't remember this note. I just thought it was nice. They must not liked it for EPQ. Interesting. I don't see anything wrong with it that doesn't qualify, that, you know, that wouldn't qualify. It's very well centered. Interesting. Here's a pretty fun note that you don't see often. Here's a Commonwealth of the Philippines Treasury certificate. These were actually printed by the BEP in the United States, and this is actually a replacement. It's a star note. PCGS notates minor repairs. There is a little bitty repair right here on the internal that goes into the seal. This note was previously in a problem-free fine 12 holder, which it has much more eye appeal than a fine 12, but they never notated the repair. I think it's super important that somebody knows. This note, however, is rare enough to the fact that people will buy it regardless of the repair. They want something with eye appeal, so it's a great note. Here is another Philippines star note. This is the one. It's a treasury certificate. Just a touch of foxing on the bottom in the center, but other than that, this note faces up nice. It's gonna sell quick, very collectible. Here's this is the Central Bank of Philippines, so while it looks like the same note on the back, it has the overprint Central Bank of the Philippines. This is a slightly better note. Even in AU53, the note's probably still worth, you know, $40 or so. Angola VF25. This is actually a pretty decent note. Probably worth $100 to $200 somewhere in there. Still has a really good look for the series. Government of Fiji. It's always a very popular note. Nice big back with bright white paper. A little bit of staining from a hard fold. But this note faces up like an AU on the front, but the back is kind of the giveaway. Here's another Government of Fiji note. Just a few little micro spotting, nothing terrible. Still has a lot of eye appeal. Will sell easily. Very original look. The paper's still very wrinkled. Here's a 5 shillings Government of Fiji VF20. Small edge tears down here at the bottom. It does have a small edge tear, so these are easy notes, as I say. Here's another Government of Fiji. This is a £1 note. It has a little bit more of the pink and reds in it, and the lathe work on the back is still very similar to the other issues. Great note. This is King George. This is Queen Elizabeth. This would be her father. Speaking of Queen Elizabeth, King George. So Bahamas, 10 shillings. Another easy note to sell. Has great eye appeal. Early issue, 1953. You normally see these notes in super low grade. The Caribbean wasn't nice to notes, so we'll just say that. Here's a Guatemalan note. Un peso. This is kind of the lower end of the spectrum for Guatemalan notes. It still has a good look, but it's kind of the bottom tier of the grading. Of the collectible grading range. You can just see the transition, how much nicer the 25 is than the 20. They did notate some minor rust down here in the corner. I was kinda expecting to see that comment. Also on this note, there's rust all the way through the top of the note and the bottom of the note, little spots. So the other thing that is very puzzling to me is why they continually use a bigger holder from time to time. It's the exact same size note, 2 different size holders. I know it's a judgment call there because they don't want to try to squeeze a note into something. Here's a pretty nice one. Here's a XF40. considerably nicer. The paper's a lot brighter. The colors really pop. Really great note. And here's a beast, AU53. The only thing keeping this note from unk was it had a couple hard corner folds down here. They're stained. You could see the actual fold lines in the note. A little bit of ink smudging on the back, but no hard folds through the center of the note or the portraits. It's amazing that these survived, you know, 1920 South America. Here's a Netherlands Antilles 2.5 gulden. This is an extremely scarce note, but it doesn't have a significant value. It's probably $100 to $200 note, I would guess. Very collectible and problem free. The ones that are out of this note that you see often are absolutely terrible. I've seen them with rust, paperclip rust, stains, torn. To find a nice problem free example with a nice clean look is tough. Here's a Greece, 1918 Greece 5 drachmae. The note to sit down. Has a good look. It's very collectible. People really like this note. It kind of has a little bit of almost a Russian, an early Russian note look. So it could be easily confused as Russian. This must be one of my mistakes. 62 no Q on this 1 drachma Greece. Government of Ceylon, 1 rupee. Pick 34. It's a good looking note. They actually would tear these out. They have 1 serrated edge along on the left side. This one's graded 65Q. Also, kind of a neat thing. It's a little bit lower, serial number 9253, but has the elephant on the back. Here's an awesome note. This Hong Kong and Shanghai banking. This is graded XF40. This is also a pretty decent note, probably $100, $200. Bahamas 4 shillings, AU58. A little bit of light staining up here in the right corner, but I don't see anything. A little bit of fold and handling marks along the edges, so this is 100% just a nice 58. Here's a 4 shillings and 64. No PPQ on this one. Yeah, you can still see the same kind of paper, maybe a paperclip mark or something up here. A little bit of staining. Note looks nice. Still has a nice appearance. Still has nice white paper. Some amazing design work. I mean, it's just, there's so much eye appeal on one of these notes. This is a Belgium note, 20 francs. I actually bought this note as an unk. It sat on my desk for probably a year and a half before I actually really looked at the note, and I pulled the note out and I said, this is AU. So this is, it's not really my mistake. It's just a national, you know, it's a good note. It's a national bank note of Belgium. Early 1919. This would have been right after World War I, so it still is very collectible. It will sell quick. The paper almost has like a light pink tone to it, maybe off-white. Good looking note. British Caribbean Territories, $5. A little tougher denomination. You normally see these in lower denoms. Eastern Currency Board. Super original still has a little bit of foxing. Couple little micro rust specks. And then there was a bunch of these, and then we'll do this note here. Another Banco Sonora remainder, 64 EPQ. And then I'll kind of explain what these are. So this is a part of our history. I don't try to be political. I got these in a deal. I thought they were very, very neat. I think they all graded 65 EPQ also. Looking at it, they are all 65 EPQ. So, to explain, these are German Armed Forces clearing notes. They actually have the swastika down here in part of the design. These are 10 Reich marked. They were printed in 1944, just prior to the end of World War II. Actually have other issues or other denominations I'm going to be grading. This one happens to be two-sided. Some of them are one-sided. I'll show you some prior to grading. Here's the one Reich Finning, and they have no back. Now here's the other ones I have. These are the one Reich mark, and if you look at the back of them, they do have a back printing. So these are kind of unique. Military collectors will absolutely love these. These notes are seen often in absolute terrible, wadded up bringbacks from GIs. I bought a nice little uncirculated run of them. They're going to be cheap. This isn't, a get-rich-quick scheme. This is just something unique that I felt we should preserve a few of. I don't speak German, so I can't break this down what it says. On foreign notes, a lot of times I use the Google apps. They will actually, if you put your phone on it and use the camera feature and then select the language, it'll break this down and give you kind of a crude translation, so it'll help you figure out what it is. I have a handful of them here. A lot of these notes are going to go to eBay. The other day I checked our foreign inventory for paper money, and it was 10 notes. It's like, I try to have a little bit of foreign on hand always, just because that way it's kind of a cross collectible, and it also gets more people interested in looking at not just our store, but like what we offer and what we do. Now, this submission I feel was a win. A lot of these Mexico notes are going to do, they're going to sell super quick. Won't have to try very hard to sell those. But some of these are just like this was just a filler note. It's a little bit better issue. It's neat. It's interesting. Another filler note. But some of these are better. Chartered banknotes, obviously a better note. I don't need to auction this note. That'll sell the day I list it. The Canadian stuff will always do well. With what I do and the way I determine how I need to go forward when I buy stuff is just what has good eye appeal, what do I know sells consistently, and what are people, what are people collecting, and where the market's going. I have a bunch of notes sitting here waiting to go to grading that are foreign notes. I try to stick to the better types and better issues, so like China, Canada, Malaysia, some of the South America, some South America, and so forth. So just kind of regroup. If you're thinking about doing foreign notes or doing a foreign submission, do some market research. Like this note here is probably a flop. It's probably worth, $10. So I just, I thought this note had good margins and had the right look, and apparently they didn't like it. I'll inspect it again, and if I feel it's wrong, I'll either send it back or send it to PMG. That's the great thing about having two grading services. You can actually kind of play notes between them and say, I think this one, I think this finalizer missed it, or I think this grading service, there's something more special about the note and they didn't capture it all, or you have to remember, grading services, these people that operate them, they're human just like you and I, so they do make mistakes from time to time. Nobody's ever going to be 100% perfect. I use both grading services, both PMG and PCGS. PCGS right now, I'm going to do more with them with bulk as more of a trial basis, and just kind of see how I like it and how the market reacts. So far the market's been great. I just sold an $8,000 note yesterday in a PCGS holder. So in the last month I've sold quite a few PCGS notes. I took some to the A&A. I have had no flack or no kickback from any of the bigger dealers or bigger retailers. Having the product is worth more than the plastic right now. So you're gonna see some of these pop up on my eBay, and they'll all be priced to sell. I'm not one of these people that's like, finest known, won't find another. There should be hype with rare notes. There shouldn't be hype with just common regular stuff. So these Guatemalan notes are just gorgeous. I mean, I like the XF40 actually better than the 53, because the paper on the 53 is a little bit darker and has those ugly corner folds. So just a little recap. Like I said, if you're thinking about doing paper money foreign submission, just do your research. If you're doing it for your private collection, not, like I said, knock yourself out. If you're doing this as a dealer or a retailer, then absolutely do some market research and figure out, what can you actually grade that's going to have some market demand. If you kind of look at what I've shown you just in this video, it's very generic notes. It's stuff you would see all the time. But I wanted to get into work early this morning, get this box done, and get back to busting stuff out. Shout out my video, send me a message. You can ask any questions you want about grading. I can try to answer them for you. Both companies offer an online submission form. PMG and PCGS both require an account to grade. However, with PMG, if you have an A&A membership, you automatically get basically a free membership to grading with NGC and PMG. And I believe PCGS collector services are very affordable for grading. If you don't want to sign up for one of those things, then I do know you can go through a reputable dealer in your area. If you're having a hard time finding a reputable dealer, you can surely reach out. I can help you as much as possible to try to help locate somebody that can get you dealer services. If not, there's a lot of advice out there on the internet, Paper Money Forum, Facebook, PCGS Forum, PMG Forum. There's plenty of places that can help you get your notes sent out. I just do this more as like a educational. Here's what I have. This is what's neat. You know, here are my grades. So, anyways, I'm gonna start my day. Hope you all have a great one, and I'll catch ya